Hi students, and welcome to today's lesson. Today we are talking about the volume of a cone, and this is a fairly straightforward concept. Remember that we've already talked about volume of a cylinder, which is the area of the base times the height. Well, the cone works the same way, except that it's 1/3 the area of the base times the height. All right, and to demonstrate this, I found this YouTube video where this person is demonstrating that the cone and this cylinder had the same height. And earlier on, let me show you here, he showed that they have the same circumference as well. So they are the same, they have the same diameter and the same height. And now he's going to show you that you can fill them up, and it will actually take 3 cones to fill up this one cylinder, because a cone, the volume of a cone is 1/3 that of a cylinder. So I'm going to play this and fast forward a little bit here.
And an equal height. Let's go ahead and fill them up with water and see if this actually works out. So here's number 1. As you can tell, there's 1. Let's go again. Here comes number 2. 2. And finally, the last cone, and it should fill up to the very, very top. And here we go. Number 3. 1, 2, and 3. And as you can tell, it is absolutely at the very, very top. If you look at this very closely, you can see that it's at the very top.
All right, so not the best production quality there, but that's why the formula is 1/3 of the area of the base times the height. So remember, I told you earlier that it's easy to remember these volume formulas because you can just remember it's the area of the base times the height. And that's true with the cone as well, except you have to remember that 1/3. And you need to know that the area of the base of a cone is a circle. So you need to know the pi radius squared is the area of a circle. Okay, so we're going to jump into part 1 together. And it's asking us to find the volume of each cone again, just like these cylinders. So I'll take these, put them here. All right, so let's remind ourselves what the formula is. So volume is 1/3 pi radius squared times the height. Another way you can think about this, because a lot of times people don't like to think about the fraction, you can say instead volume equals pi radius squared times height, which is the formula for the cone, the cylinder, divided by 3, because it would take 1/3 of that amount. So basically I'm taking this 1/3 and I'm putting it as divided by 3. So both of these will get you the same answer. It's easier to do this one if you're going to be using a calculator, which we'll be doing a little bit today. All right, if you noticed on our directions, it did say to leave this in terms of pi, so not to calculate pi out. And we talked about that last time as well. So 1/3 pi radius squared times height. So let's start with this one. 1/3, so pi is going to stay there. Pi radius squared is 2 times 2 times the height, which is 7, divided by 3. So pi, so 2 times itself is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. So pi times 28 divided by 3. This is hard to not to calculate out. In fact, I'm not going to not calculate it. I'm going to calculate it, just so you can see these numbers right off the top, right, for our first example. 28 times 3.14 is that, divided by 3 is that. So this one is 29, approximately 29, and we're dealing with volume, so it's cubic centimeters. So we're going to say approximately. This one, 1.5 is the radius. I'll change colors here so we can do this new example in blue. 1.5, so we have 1/3. I'm still going to use that bottom formula here, pi. Radius squared is 1.5 squared times the height times 10 divided by 3. Okay, so pi 1.5 times 1.5 is 2.25 times 10 is 22.5. So I have pi times 22.5 divided by 3. Let's put that in my calculator. 22.5, not 6.5, times 3.14 divided by 3. 23.5, 23.5. And these are all going to be cubic centimeters, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to write that label in this one. All right, and then our last one we'll do in green, and it has a height of 3 and a radius of 3. So we'll just go ahead and plug those in. Pi times 3 squared, so that's pi times, pi times 9 times 3 is 27 divided by 3. So we would have pi times 27, 3.14 divided by 3 is 28.26. 28.26. All right, so we have blue, green, red as our order from least to greatest for this problem. But that's as simple as it is, just finding your radius and your height, and then basically finding the area of, volume of a cone, and then dividing it by 3, because it takes 3 of those cones to fill the one. All right, so go ahead and try it on your own in your book. And for this one, if you left it in terms of pi, that's totally fine. The answer will have that, but we'll go ahead and calculate it out. So 1/3 pi radius squared times height. Radius is 5, and the height is 10. So 1/3 pi radius squared, so 5 squared is 25. 25 times 10 is 250. So my guess is they did this, 250 divided by 3. Yep, so they did 83.3 pi is the answer in terms of pi. But if you multiplied it out, it would be 261.6-ish. Okay, it always depends on how you round. Okay, so I'm going a little bit quickly through this one because it is very similar to the volume of a cylinder. All right, here's another one where they don't want us to use it in terms of pi. So the radius is 5, the height is 6. Let's go ahead and solve this one on our notes. Pi radius squared, pi does not like to draw here. Pi radius squared times height divided by 3. So we have, I think the radius was 5 and the height was 10. No, 5 and 6. Okay, height is 6. So let's go ahead and write this in. So pi, 5 squared for the radius, times 6, divided by 3. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 6 150 divided by 3 times pi 3.14. I did that a little bit out of order. Sorry about that. 157 is the number that we're getting here, and What are we working in? Inches. So 157 square inches. We'll pull up that solution and it looks great. Okie dokie. So that's how we're doing this. Find the volume of the sand in the bottom of the hourglass to the nearest cubic inch. So go ahead and try that. The radius is 3.25. The height is 7.75. Go ahead and use a calculator on this one. Let me go ahead and pull up these answer choices. Did you get one of these answers? Hopefully you did. Let's go ahead and reveal the correct one. It is 86 cubic inches. So here is the steps in case you need those. And now we're going to go on to part 3. All right, just like with our last one, we are now going to be given the volume and we need to find either the radius or the height. So in this situation, we've been given the height and we need to find the radius. And if you saw the little video that went ahead of this, it said something like a shaved ice vendor was trying to fill the cone. So we need to calculate if he wants 150 cubic centimeters to go in the cone, how big is the radius or how wide should this cone be? So we are looking for the radius. Okay, so let's think about what we do know. We do know the volume formula. Volume is pi radius squared times the height divided by 3. All right, let's fill in what we do know. We do know the volume is 150 centimeters. 150. We do know what pi is. It's 3.14. We don't know the radius, and that's okay. We can leave that as a variable. And we know the height. The height is 9. So we're going to put that in there. And we know that the volume of a cone is always divided by 3. So that's great. So let's simplify what we do know. We have pi times radius times 9. Well, when we multiply, we can multiply in any order. So I'm going to do pi times 9 so that we just have one number over there. So 3.14 times 9 is 28.26. All right, so I have 28.26 radius squared divided by 3 equals 150. Okay, so let's remind ourselves when we're trying to solve for a variable, we need that variable to be by itself. So I'm going to undo division by multiplying both sides by 3. 3 times 150 is 450. So 450 is going to equal 28.26 times the radius squared. Well, since there's multiplication happening right here, we know that we can undo multiplication by dividing. So we're going to divide by 28.26 to both sides. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And 450, let's see what that is. 450 divided by 28.26 is this number, 15.9. Let's go ahead and round that to 16 because it says to the nearest tenth. So we're going to say 16 is equal to the radius squared. And now we need to take, the r is still not by itself because it is squared. So we need to take the square root of radius squared and the square root of 16. So we'll get 4 equals r. So our radius in this situation should be 4. Okay, and I'll pull up the solution here for you to take a look at. Pause the video if you need to take a closer look at any of it. And then go ahead and grab your close and check and complete the questions. And then we will go over the solutions here. When you're ready, you can pause the video so you can view these answers And then you are all set. Great job on the volume of a cone today, everyone.